Hello, Comic Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome along to this comedy streaming show thing, broadcasting via the internet.
Thank you for joining us. This is the show where us, a couple of comedians, solve all of the world's problems. And since we started this in COVID, we continue to just nail it. So we're very glad that you can join us. We're going to solve some problems in a second. I think we know the problem we're going to be solving today. But you can join us on the old, follow us on Twitter. We've got a Twitter handle for the show. We've got our own Twitter handles there. You can join us in the chat on the YouTube. Got the YouTube up there, and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, so you can join us there and engage with the clientele. Is that the right word for people watching the show?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Clientele is good, and yeah, I think those are the main bits you need to know. And at some point, if you're like, these guys, wow, you'd like to part with some of your sweet money, just go to our Ko-fi link and give us that little bit of money in exchange for keeping our hope alive.
Yeah, and paying a small amount of our electricity bills. I regret getting so many lights in this home studio.
Yep, because the brighter we are, the brighter we fall. Not quite sure what that saying means, but
no.
But you know where your Ko-fi goes.
Not even a blue wall. It's a wall that's lit by blue light. What a stupid plan. Damn it, it's a grey wall.
So if you want to see a different color wall in Steve's wall room, then put some money in the Ko-fi.
Yeah, beautiful.
There we go.
And we'll give you details of a new way that you can stay in touch as well. There might be mailing list information later on if we can remember to bring it up.
Yeah, there we go.
So I guess we get stuck into the main story, I suppose. I've now got, look at that, control straight to it.
That's right. This is the big story, Steve, which you just teased. Of course, it's the story everyone is talking about. Comic Solving Problems has a mailing list. We have a mailing list where you can subscribe to find out information about the show. I mean, it really is the biggest news of the day, isn't it?
Is it? I mean, I'm on the show, and even I don't think that's the biggest news of the day. It'll be great to have a mailing list where people can get extra information and maybe even extra shows, of course. But is that the biggest news of the... Sure. All
right. There is another big news. This is the biggest news, and everyone is talking about it, especially... especially if you're able to still access the Russia Today. We'll see it in the headline, every single story. It's about the group of truckers that are headed to Washington, D.C. to protest against vaccine mandates in the United States. It is the lead story on Fox News and Russia Today. So it is the big story everyone in the world is talking about. It's really brought the world together. The truckers' needs and desires to fight against the oppression of the mandates that no longer exist in the United States.
I mean, if ever you've got the same lead story as RT, great time to ask yourself some questions. That's what I'd say.
Probably not something for us to highlight because RT has been removed from YouTube in all of Western Europe. Yeah. So there is no more RT. But if you get a VPN, you can still watch it in America if you're looking for the best source of misinformation. Is
it not broadcast in, I think it's still on Freeview, isn't it? I know Ofcom have launched 15 Ofcom complaints, but I've had more than that during my career. So.
It's still on Freeview, but it's not on YouTube. Yeah, and you know who is on YouTube and has more viewers than RT right now? Comics fucking solving fucking problems. Oh yeah.
I don't think we should change the name to officially that. It's going to take up an awful lot of screen real estate. We can't have that much space in the logo.
I don't think MailChimp will allow that on the mailing list. Even they have standards.
Yeah. So we'll drop you the link in the chat. And this is another one of them. They're pre-recorded ones. And thank you for all the chat. Last week I was in a restaurant and reading the chat on the way home. That was pretty fun. So keep the good quality. One of the messages, and look, the usual suspects were there being very funny. Thank you for all the puns. Thank you for all the comments. But you know how every so often we get a comment from this being streamed on something like D-Live or Twitch or one of our not main outputs. Someone said to us, I don't know if you saw this last week, Eric, someone said, you two look very professional.
Ooh. I don't know why I did such a, what is that from? The British movies back in the day.
From your feminine side? I don't know.
No, there was the guy in the movies who would do the, ooh, in the, on the buses, on the Carry On films. That was a very Carry On moment.
which person from the Carry On films do you thought went like the actual? Your version might not have been spot on. Even without trying, I went slightly more Frankie Howard. Which you're thinking of Kenneth Williams.
Yeah, so he would go, ooh.
Yeah, stop messing about, that kind of.
Yeah, that was me doing that. So I know about my British culture.
Do you? Well, it never comes up here. All right, so no, that's not the story that we're talking about. And also,
isn't not the mailing list?
No,
and it's not about the truckers.
I think it's great that the truckers are moving their protests onto different places, because then they could just actually deliver some of the goddamn goods in the back of the trucks. There's, oh yeah, hi, could we have a protest outside our place next week because we're running low? That would be a good move. No, I'm talking about war. What is it good for? That's why, there it is. There it is. It's like that moment when you just undo the envelope in a magic trick, because of course you were going to say. There it is. Let's go through some of the details then in today's war update. War. Some front pages from today. Russia's deadly raids. I mean, it's just the news is. Do you know? I did notice. This is the front page of the Guardian. What a time to be alive when the happiest news story on the front page was down the bottom about this. It's only the slow climate death of the Earth. That's the good news, because at least it's not as quick as the nuclear war that's heading this way. Great. Other front pages give us. This is good. Front page of the Star. The farmer who towed away one of the armoured vehicles. Excellent work. There have been so many good ways that people in Ukraine have been managing to befuddle the army. For example, Ukrainians were messing around with the road signs to confuse the Russian troops. In part, this is like back in the day when I was growing up. We had holidays in Skegness, and in the sand you could write things. And I'd always write "to the beach," pointing away from the sea of equality. But I imagine it's just signs like this, just like invasion that way. And it turns out the invasion is actually the other way. That's how you get them. One bunch of people, they were making these signs as well. If this works, this will end war forever. Just put up a big old red sign and gets rid of it. You'd like a bit of that. But there have been loads of other things that have changed. Google Maps have stopped giving away information about how busy things are in Ukraine, because this is giving away information about where people might be doing their exodus via. But it started, the first thing we knew about there being an invasion of Ukraine was when one of the roads suddenly showed up on Google Maps as being chock-a-block because of all the slow-moving vehicles. So they've got rid of the info that you can't get about the civilians, but look at the map. We saw this from a tweet. This is when it all started. You could see it turning up as red on Google Maps, which means today on my way into work, I was on the M25 and saw that it was closed. And then there was this happening. I was like, oh my God, the Ruskies have taken Waltham Cross. Yeah. Which was a worry for all of us. Turns out it's just the M25 might be worse. Whilst we're doing a bit of an update about what Putin's been up to, I've very much been enjoying the size of the table. So when you had the meeting with Macron, that very much has vibes of, well, we bought the table, we might as well put it to some use instead of sitting on the same ends. But then you think, all right,
a lot of big tables.
A lot of big tables, because then there was the meeting that he had. Yeah. There you go. The great thing about this is, if his tables get any longer, he's going to need to use Zoom to speak to someone in the same room as him. Like, sorry, it's only 45 minutes free account. Wrap it up. Other good news that we heard about is that it's not just army, it's not just civilians fighting. Anonymous, the cracker people, shut down Russian gas supply. Ha-ha! Although with the price increase that we've seen in the UK, I'd quite like it if they could shut down my gas supply too. Any chance of that? Anonymous hackers, whoever you are. Anonymous, if that is your real name. Then these kind of things have been impacting the Russian economy, all of the sanctions, which now means the damage is done. Russians face an economic point of no return. So much so that they are needing money. It's led to other things being available. For example, if you go onto Cameo, you know the Cameo app, when you can get famous people to record you a message. For a surprisingly small amount of rubles, you can get yourself this.
Hello, Steve, and happy birthday. If you would like many happy returns, I would not drink the tea.
And that is... there we go, let's move on to there. Special effects.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little scary.
It is a little bit, isn't it?
You could get in some trouble for that.
What, for using the face swap app? It's an app. It's a face swap app.
An app run by the Chinese. Is it? No, what? There was one of those apps that you could age yourself. That
The
was
age, yeah.
done,
The
that was
age
the
one.
Russians, wasn't it? Was it the Russians or the Chinese?
I feel like you're missing the point of the joke. As much as the joke was all about promoting the app that I used for it, they're so poor that Vladimir Putin is recording messages on Cameo.
Yeah. At least he can actually get on Cameo. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on breakfast. Been on Newsnight.
You've eaten breakfast, yeah? It's all...
Been on Comic Solving Problems.
Yeah. We don't need Cameo because people are, I'm sure, filling in the old...
Hey, if you would like a cameo from Steve and I, we should start doing that.
Yeah, we could record them like this.
Donation? £3.
Yeah. Let's be honest. God, we know our worth.
Have you seen the TikTok video of there was a derelict Russian tank, and it's a Ukrainian woman showing how to start up the tank. So it's got the pace and tempo of a TikTok, and she's like, in Russian or Ukrainian, she's like, and we go, flip, flip, flip the switches, and we power on, and she puts in the clutch and goes, wow, just takes off with the tank, because there's so many abandoned tanks and trucks and things that they've just left behind because they've run out of fuel or just realized that they were fed a pack of lies, because they didn't, I think some of the Russian soldiers who've apparently either defected or given themselves up weren't watching enough Russia Today.
They weren't watching enough Comic Solving Problems. We could have sorted this if we had more Russian viewers. There was an interview I heard on the radio saying that some of the tanks were going in with no maps and no GPS receivers because they just presumed they'd be welcomed, and that's why changing the signs has worked so much. Because not having a map and not having GPS, I don't even do a weekend away without that, and I'm not in a tank invading anywhere, at least not since the incident. So I would call that woefully underprepared.
But I think what it has shown us is, because for years we've done comments on the fact that the Russians don't really have much of a sense of humor. All of that sense of humor, it appears, was in the Ukraine. Yeah. Because these people know how to pull a prank or two.
Yeah, what a time to do pranks as well. It's like, so changing the signs to point in the wrong direction. Some of them were changed to just say like F off. I think all of this they learned by watching Home Alone. It's the national version of Home Alone. At some point, some invading force is going to open a door, just a can of paint, right in the face.
I believe Macaulay Culkin is available.
One of the strategists. Nice.
He's there.
Yeah,
taking care of business.
So if you're enjoying the show, I'll just flash all the YouTube things up. There's the YouTube, spread the words. Yeah. There's the donations, and there's a little bit of Comic Solving Problems.
But yeah, I think it is definitely one of the bigger problems. Hopefully, they do follow those reverse signs and head back home again, because it's something that is just awful. So it's one of those areas where when you're a comedian who's does satirical bits about the news, pretty much a killjoy.
Although the main topic is, but thankfully, the stories like the signs, the stories like the brewery that started doing Molotov cocktails, which is amazing. And in the story I was reading, it said people aren't drinking that much at the moment, and that's why, why not? Let's start making projective explosive things. But it's amazing how brewers are more essential than we realised, because when the pandemic hit, there was the breweries making hand gel, and now they're making Molotov cocktails. They're more essential than we were. Darn it.
Yeah. There has been an issue in the U.S., though, because people have been dumping their Russian vodka down the drain to protest the Russians, and but it has led to an epidemic of alcoholic rats.
Nice.
Rats are coming out of the sewer. What is going on?
I tell you,
the accent.
Nice. The other thing that's been quite handy is, sometimes both of us, we rock up on places like Talk Radio or whatever, and on the weekend show there, we ended up noticing and then making a joke out of the fact that when I get introduced as comedian Stephen Allen, someone will tweet, "Comedian, what's he know about anything?" I tell you what, these days, being a comedian, Yeah, it's one step in the right direction, isn't it? Oh, do you mean I've got the same job as the president of Ukraine used to have? Maybe you, tweeter, can shut your face. So that's been quite fun.
But I think we will be doing in-depth looks at future comic solving problems coming up about the real cause and culprit, which we've seen on social media, of the crisis in Ukraine. And the real reason that Russia invaded, it's because of the woke left.
Yeah, I've seen some of those tweets.
Yeah.
It's as ridiculous as thinking anyone cares that the meerkat from the Compare the Market thing's Russian. He's also not real. Meerkats don't speak.
Even my daughter heard about that today. She's like, "Do you know the meerkat commercial?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "He's been banned. Apparently, he decided to give up his yacht as well."
What a ridiculous state of affairs. But I mean, also one of the newspaper columns I wrote this week, which follow me on Twitter, you get to read the whole thing, was it's great that Eurovision banned them, but also it's pointless. As if Putin's going to be like, but we've already written the song. So
but I think that, I mean, they couldn't participate. I think all of these cultural things add to it and bring the reality home that maybe this isn't about liberating the Ukrainian people. So I think every single one of those things, and also the Eurovision Song Contest, is pointless.
But if Russia would have been in the Eurovision Song Contest, at least for once, there would have been a country that we could beat. Damn it.
Fair point.
So you go on to some any other business?
Yes, and then also just we will flash up on Twitter. We put the link to the mailing list because we're going to be having, for some various things, we're going to be having some sporadic shows in the next couple of weeks. So it'd be good to join the mailing list, and we sell your name to porn sites and make a lot of money.
They've probably already got them.
Yeah, a little late. Anyway,
so
but yes, you've got some things we won't believe.
Yeah, this story to begin with, COVID toe. Might be nothing more than chilblains. Do you remember when COVID toe was a thing? People were saying one of the symptoms was a weird swelling and redness and rash of the toe. And apparently
I missed that one.
It was, I mean, it's funny because they called it COVID toe, and now they've looked into it, and it's not even a thing. The idea is that apparently this skin condition may just be chilblains brought on by people wearing no socks because they're in lockdown and stayed at home, which does mean, thanks to all of the Zoom work I've done, I might have COVID dong. So I need to be careful. I really should have been wearing trousers all of this time.
Do you normally wear a sock on your dong?
Yep. Long sock as well. One of those. Not one of them ankle ones. Not one of those sports ones.
Not wool, I hope.
No. Well, I'll wash it. What's the problem?
Oh, it's scratchy. Gotta be gentle.
You get used to it. That's why I have conditioner. Let's have a little bit of fabric conditioner. Other news that you won't believe. Well, maybe you will. It's this story. The latest fare rise has kicked in. Having to pay more for the train tickets. I brought this one up because it reminded me of when I just started writing jokes for different radio stations. I used to do jokes for Mercury FM, but not the one I eventually worked on down south in Sussex and Surrey. There used to be one in Watford. And I wrote a joke when they'd put the train ticket prices up. And the joke was, and I was young at the time, calm down. They've just brought in the new fare increase. Unfair increase, more like, right? So I wrote that. Right. And I heard the radio presenter, she read out that joke, and I thought, oh, she read out my joke, that's nice. And a few days later, I was just starting work at Traffic Link as a travel news reader. And I was stood there with a group of all the other new recruits being trained up about which stations we do. And the guy who runs the place was saying, yeah, so let's just dial up here. Mercury FM Watford. Oh, God, I was listening to them the other day. And the presenter did, you'll never guess, I'll tell you the joke. And told me the joke back to me to point out how shit it was. And I was like, oh, God, yeah, it's terrible. Every year that story reminds me of that dark moment in my past.
And did you think, you know what? Someday I could be president of a country and inspire the world. So where's that guy now? I
thought someday I could be in a shed paying too much for lighting doing web comedy. And I was right. Yeah.
To a growing and burgeoning mailing list.
Yeah, true. There's a mailing list. More details on that. And my final story to consider would be this one. I don't know if you saw this story this week. The woman with Britain's biggest eyebrows, she's been threatened by social services. The reason is that she gets an awful lot of trolling and hate online. There's no need for it. So just because she's got these big eyebrows, she refuses to change them. People are tweeting things like, oh, you're a bad parent. What's eyebrow size got to do with being a parent? It's ridiculous. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous. She was interviewed in the newspaper. Here are some quotes by her. She said, last night I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I'll never know. Is that